Today, I am just ticked off. Ticked off. And you might be thinking, I'm sure, girl, what's new? You're always ticked off. Well, hear me out. This month has been a particularly complicated month, very hard month. We have had multiple instances of boats capping over somewhere between the coast of Senegal and the coast of Spain, southern coast, full of people, my people, young people for the most part, sometimes babies in there. And these people basically have left our home to go to Europe in search of a job for a better life, which they feel is not available back home. They're going to search for jobs because clearly it looks like there are no jobs back home. And we all know that, yes, that problem is real. And so in this situation, the reason why, especially today, I am pissed off beyond the fact that, we have had, like I said, multiple of these stories this month. It's not just this month, by the way. This has been happening for forever, sadly, forever. Um, and this month, it just seems like they've just been adding up. They've been just, usually it's like you hear about one or two every month or other month. But this month, it's like almost every other day, something is going on. Just today, we heard from the people who live in Tiaroy-sur-Mer in Senegal. They said that it's a little coastal village in not too far away from Dakar, and they say that there is a boat that has left like that they haven't heard back from for the past couple of days. I wouldn't be surprised that by now everybody's dead. So it just goes on to adding more people, and so. This stuff is so crazy and so bad that I have thought multiple times of maybe posting every single time it happens, just post it, put it on my feed so that everyone gets to see what it is that I see. Because oftentimes we don't even report on it. We just don't. Maybe the European news says something about it. Maybe the Senegalese news says something about it. Sometimes I know they don't in case there's some other news. And but this phenomenon is just happening and happening and happening. I've been wondering whether I should post about them or not on my feed so that you can have an idea of what I'm talking about. But oftentimes I'm just like, okay, but it's so grim also at the same time. It causes despair. It's so morbid. So much that I refrained so far from posting it. And because my feed would be full of this stuff. And it would almost feel like, just this very indecent feed. And so I've refrained from doing that so far, but I think going forward, I might change my mind and actually post about it so that these people, for whatever it is worth, we have to keep on accounting them for. We have to keep our mind on it. We have to keep, paying attention to it so that we grow a bigger sense of urgency to change the status quo. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible status quo. But the reason why today it's much I'm just more ticked off than normally I would is because today is the end of the month, and what it means is that we have to send the salaries to our we have to issue the salaries to our employees for the Senegalese operations. We manufacture skin in Senegal, and we have employees there, and so end of the month is we pay our employees a couple times a month on the 15th and then also the last day of a month. This is not something that others really do, but it is something that I have learned in the US, and I just found it to be such a great thing to do to help employees with their cash flow needs. Because in Senegal, most people get paid once a month at the end of a month, and by the time they get their pay around the 5th of the month, I mean, almost all the money is gone, and by the 10th or 15th everybody is just like gaping for where to waiting for the end of a month, but we're only one third into the month. So this is something that this is a practice. Paying people once a week or once every 2 weeks is a practice that I learned from the US, and I found to be just amazing. And I proposed that to my employees. Of course, they said absolutely yes. At first, I was even thinking that it was going to be helpful, even more helpful for them to be paid once a week. And eventually, they came back and said, we're not used to getting money once a week, and we're finding that we're kind of wasting some of that money sometimes because their pattern in how they buy, how they buy their goods and all of that. Just it was making it too strange for them to be paid once a week. So in any case, they decided, no, actually, once every 2 weeks is going to be perfect. So that's what we're doing. So now is the end of the month. And in this situation, though, what happened is a new circular came out I think it was in June 1st of this year, so a month ago. A new circular came out. A circular is like it's a government decision that came out and saying that there had been a negotiation between the three parties. Parties in this case, you have on one side the union's party, the union body, because in Senegal, that's how it works. You have this union body. And then there was also the employer's body, as well as, in this case, the Minister of Work and the Minister of Transport representing the government. So these three parties had been in negotiation regarding salaries for workers. Because what you need to understand is that in Senegal, at least if you're going to be in the formal sector, which we are in, meaning you're a legal business, legally operating, and if you want to do things by the books, which you should, otherwise you stand the risk of being harassed by government, all types of crazy stuff. You can't really open a bank account. If you're in the informal sector, you can't have a bank account. Your employees can't be legally recognized as employees, and with that, have to let go of a lot of what they could pretend to as employees, including saving for retirement. So it's just a lot of things that cannot happen. You can't apply for any investment of any kind, because what are we going to invest in, right? You don't legally exist. You don't formally exist. There is no paperwork showing that this is the entity in which we're investing. That's what it is to be a formal business. And so if you're a formal business, it means, you have to follow the legalities of running business on the ground. And so basically this circular came out, and it said that those three bodies that came together kind of had negotiated a few things. And so how it affects us is basically two things. One had to do with an increase on the base salary. So you see, everybody, like I said, in Senegal belongs to a corp. Like every job belongs to a corporation of kind, meaning that this is a category in which you belong to, and therefore this is what has been negotiated on behalf of the workers in that corp. This is what has been negotiated with government, the unions, and the employers' council. And so in this case, it looks like it doesn't look like it is. They had they negotiated and settled to a 10% increase on the base salary. So 10% increase on the base salary. It looks like the unions had asked for a 30% increase. 30% increase. I mean, 10% is not nothing. It's a lot. It's a lot. So what it means, and so they put this circular out on June 1st, and they say it has to start happening effective as of July 1st. So you have 30 days to get your act together, you employer. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wait a second. My revenues didn't grow by 10% just because I clicked my fingers and said, that's how it's going to be from now on. No, my revenues didn't grow by 10%. And also my productivity didn't grow by 10%. It hasn't. And it won't. At least not for the foreseeable future. But you're telling me that now my cost, especially when it comes to the employees' wages, is going to have to be raised by 10%. Just like that. And I'm hearing that you wanted 30%. Why didn't you make it 200% while you're at it? Why did you stop at 30%? Why not 200%? Come on. If we can just make up a number and just put it there, why stop at 30%? So they settled on 10%. So this month, just like that, I had to pay 10% more in wages. Not justified by revenue growth, not justified by productivity, nothing. Nothing. Just because the unions sat together with the Minister of Work and the Minister of Transport, and I will tell you why the Minister of Transport was there. Because so the wages, the base salary for category 1 to 4 employees has to go up 10%. And 8% went for the next tranche of categories. And then I think there's another one for the last one. In our case, it's category 1 to 4, and that our employees are in, so we have to give them a 10% raise on their base salary. In addition to that, we also have to, in Senegal, they have what we call a transportation stipend. And so in our case, you could argue, Magatte, why are you paying them a transportation stipend? Because my employees, in our case, we're like in this small little village, and our employees walk to work 10, 15 minutes for most of them. And really, it's not like they're spending any money going from their home to our work. And so you would argue, why are you paying them? And that's in a way the question I asked my CPA who set up the contracts. And he said, Magatte, it's just better to pay to them because they might otherwise go take you to the court, to the employment court, and just be saying that's something that they should be having. It's part of their rights, and it's just going to cause more problems than it's worth. So just like that, I have to pay for transport stipend. So the transport stipend also has been raised by almost 10% from what it was. I guess that's why the Minister of Transportations was there in those negotiations. That's so insane. The simple fact that even the state has to be involved, in private employment between me, a private company, and grown-up people who entered into this employment voluntarily. The government and the unions tell us what to do. And they decided that just like that, base salary needs to be raised by 10% for category 1 to 4, which is our situation, employees, and that the transportation has to also be raised. Now the transportation stipend is at 26,000 CFA instead of being to 2,500 or something like that, a little bit less than 21,000. 21,000. So I guess it's not 10% exactly, but it went from 20 something, a little bit less than 21,000 to now 26,000. That too. I was told that the unions actually had negotiated for it to go from a little bit less than 21,000 to 50,000. Again, why did you stop at 50,000? Why didn't you make it to 1 million? Why not to 200 billion if you wanted to? I'm wondering what makes you stop at 50,000. Because even in your nonsense, there's a little bit of sense there, that some of it may not even actually make sense, and you've got to keep a little bit of somewhat kind of reasonability there. Because why not just make it to 1 million? You're just making up numbers out of nowhere. Why not just make it to 1 million? Come on. Employers' Council had settled at 25,000, and that the government had said, okay, let's do it somewhere around 28,000, and eventually it looks like they ended up at 26,000. CFA, franc CFA. But again, for me as an employer, what does it mean? But from one day to another, because literally, that's one day to another. On June 1st, you put a circular out telling me that a month from now, I'm going to have to raise my base salaries. The base salary portion of their salary is going to have to be raised by 10%. And that the transportation stipend also is increasing sizably. And it starts a month from now. Get ready. Because I'm a formal business, better follow the law. Because if you don't, it means employees can sue you. It means the government can sue you and harass you. It means you have the unions on your back. It means all types of things that take you away from your business, take you away from trying to make the business work and serve your customers and make things go round. So I'm getting ready right now to go ahead and send those payments. And yet I have had not 1 penny in increase in revenue. I have had not 1% of increase in productivity. Either one of those could have justified an increase. And even then, it should be my choice, my decision, not a government telling me what to do. When it was time to open my business, did the government give me the money to open my business? Is the government the one who doesn't sleep at night wondering how I'm going to pay my payroll, how I'm going to make payroll? Is the government that's basically having ulcers, literally ulcers, trying to think about how to recover from having lost 90% of our sales overnight during COVID times, and how we're going to stay alive and keep the business open so that we can keep our employees open. In the meantime, try to find ways out to how we can keep paying our employees, even, if we have to close for health reasons and everything. Was the government the one suffering those ulcers on my behalf when that was happening, when I was doing my job of running my business? Is the government who goes and paves the freaking streets of the US to try and sell the lip balm so that we have a business and can make payroll in the first place? But yet they have the nerves and the unions. Who the hell are the unions? Is it them too? Who have the ulcers, have the sleepless nights, have to pave have to walk on the pavement to go make sales? Yet they're the ones to tell me how to run my business. In almost every single aspect of my business is ruled by the government and the unions. And then you might want to ask, Magatte, I get that. That's not fair. And you betcha it's not fair. But then you might ask, what's the relationship between that and these boats full of young people you're telling us about at first? Well, think about it. With these type of rules and regulations, do you really think, I mean, imagine, think if you have a business that has 50 employees, 100 employees. We're talking here small and medium-sized businesses. Maybe you have 15 employees or 20 or 25. We're talking about small businesses. Maybe you have 200 medium-sized businesses. So the small and medium-sized employees, imagine you're any of those. I'm not even talking about the multinationals. But you're just like the regular lady, the regular man, the regular Magatte, the regular Hassan Ousseinou, doing business in Senegal. You have a small, medium-sized business that you decided to form legally, to be a legit business, to be in the formal sector, pay your taxes on time, do all the things that you're supposed to do. And Lord knows there's many of them. And here you are. You wake up on June 1st, you're being told that a month from now, July 1st, you're going to have somehow to pay 10% more on your base salaries than you were paying before. And that the transportation stipend also has increased, not by a little, but by quite a bit. And you know what? None of my business. I don't care that you don't, and you don't have extra revenues. You don't have an increase in revenues, and you don't have an increase in productivity to justify any of that. Do you know what's going to happen? Do you know what's going to happen? Our pockets are not extendable. Our budgets are not extendable. It's not because some people who don't know how to run a business have never managed a business, in this case the governments and the unions, who only look at this equation from a certain vantage point and miss the point, the main point, decide to make this decision coming out of nowhere, backed by nothing, except, oh, instead of say, oh, the cost of life has gone up, so everything needs to go up as well. So you guys, we're looking at you. Fine. But do you know what's going to happen? Because my pocket is not extendable. If all I could afford was 100, and now you're going to say it's 110, then I cut 10. What it means in this case is I am going to let go people. Already, we didn't have enough jobs. Already, we did not have enough jobs. So much that people are packing themselves into boats and leaving to places that have jobs, or they think has more jobs. They certainly have more jobs than we do, that's for sure. Now, what did you do with your beautiful, so smart ruling? More people are going to join the unemployment lines. See, that's what you don't think about when you make these weird decisions. You don't think about that. You don't follow your reasoning. You stop your reasoning at your desired outcome. Are we not people? Are businesses not a real thing? Do you think that we just have all of these coffers that are full, and anytime you come and you ask for more, we can just put it out more and it doesn't affect anything in the back end? Because we have to really make things work. We have to make sure that our books are balanced. Unlike governments, don't care. Spend. Who cares that you can afford it or not? Or unions who think that we're just all filthy rich and just exploiters anyway. Oh, they're probably hiding some behind. They can definitely fork out more. We know it's not going to hurt them. Come on, fork it out. Come on, give them money. No, at the end of the day, us, the small and medium-sized, businesses, we have to make sure our books are balanced. Otherwise, we don't stay in business long. We just don't. So things have to be balanced. And everywhere you force me to make an increase, I have to balance out. So when you try to make me pay more, it means I have to cut somewhere. Because I can't keep on paying for things I can't afford. You see, us people in business, we don't work like government. Reality is a bitch. And we're subjected to reality. Businesses are subjected to reality. So when you impose us these increases just because you can, the reality on the ground is we have to cut somewhere. And we have to also try to make it up somewhere else. So in this case, what does it mean? People will get fired. Because if all I can afford is 100 and you're going to try to make me pay 110, I'm not going to pay 110 because I can't pay 110. I don't have 110. So what it means is I'm going to cut somebody out so I can stay within 100. Before, I could hire 100 people at $1 each. But now you're telling me that I need to pay each one of those people a little bit more. It means I have to let go of that many more people to stay with my 100 budget because that's really all I can afford. And it doesn't matter that you give me an increase of 100%, 10%, 15%, whatever it means. Whatever you're going to try to increase, I'm going to try to cut. I'm going to cut on the other end so that I can stay on budget. Why is this so hard to understand? Why? So you union people, you thought you were going to help people. You government, you thought you were going to help people. No, you're not. All you've managed to do in this case is you're going to send people packing because we are going to have to let people go. because of some arbitrary ruling somewhere. When things are tough, you don't increase. If anything, you try to decrease until things get better, but you don't just... So some people will be laid off. So more people at the unemployment line, probably more kids than meaning lining up for the boats to go to Europe. There's probably a reason why we're hearing more people going. And also it means that the same everyday people who are the workers and those who don't have jobs are also probably going to have to face increased prices. Because what businesses are going to try to do is make up for this increase you arbitrarily created by, on one end, cutting on their cost so that, they can respect this raise that you have imposed upon them on the people that you still have. And also, they're probably going to have to raise their prices, again, in order to balance their books. And almost no one makes this connection. Almost no one. And that, my friends, is what ticks me off today. Because I'm speaking to you right now, and when I get up from here, I have to go and push that button to pay more my employees. And you know what I'm going to do after that? I'm going to be looking at how much longer we can do this, especially with these raises, because my Senegalese operations are losing money. But for me, it's a labor of love. But even for a labor of love, when you have such insanities, that keeps on kicking in, at some point, you got to cut your losses, because otherwise I'm going to sink with everybody else. So I'm going to be looking at how much longer can we do this for, and do we need to let somebody go? At the same time, I'm going to make a phone call to my auditor. I'm going to task this person to start looking for where else we should go. The easiest for me would be to shut everything down in Senegal and maybe move operations back to the US. It would be the easiest thing. It would be the thing that makes the most sense. But I'm stubborn, and I love my people, and I'm like, before we all do that, what gives? Instead, I'm going to try to see what other nation on the continent might be a better host for us to do business in. At this point, I am sincerely thinking, because this is just not today, It's I'm talking to you today about this part of a labor law, but it's always one thing after another. I am tired. I am exhausted. So we're going to look for another country in Africa that's not as bad as Senegal. A couple countries have understood, at least on the labor laws, but this makes no sense, and are offering more flexible environments. I get the desire to want to help employees, but this is just not how you do it. This is counterproductive. And when are you going to understand that? When I say that on paper, Senegalese employees are among the most protected employees in the world, on paper, people fight with me and they're like, what Africa are you part of? That's not true. Where here people are not paid for 6 months in a row, and when they go complain, they're being told to, guess what, take that, leave. Want to take that door? Make sure you take the door, and make sure it doesn't hit you on your way out, because there are 100 more people behind that door waiting to get that job that you're about to leave because you're saying it's so bad and you don't get paid. And some of the people say, oh, my friend, and it's always these anecdotes, right? Because probably what it is for the most part, it's people working in the informal sector anyway, where technically you don't even exist as an employee, which means you have no rights anyway. And the other ones are maybe working at some legit companies, but are not as scrupulous as we are. Making sure that you're trying to do things the right way. And why? Because oftentimes, some of these businesses, they know people in government anyway. If they get in trouble and the employees complain or whatever, and even maybe want to take them to court or whatever, the employer knows the somebody in government, and yeah, don't worry, they'll come, and nothing's gonna happen anyway. That's what we call a crony business. You're using your ties in the government to basically get away with crap business behavior. But we're not. We're a small, medium-sized enterprise trying to play by the book. Because I believe that's the best way to do business anyway. You play by the book, because running a business is hard enough. I don't want to be adding, struggling with the government, or worse yet, having to be at the mercy of the government or some government officials because, I've done something that I shouldn't do, and I have to rely on, maybe giving them a little bit of a stipend so that they kind of leave me alone in my illegality of how I'm doing things, or whatever it is. We don't want that. Just want to tell me what I have to pay. Tell me what I have to do to be compliant, so we can be compliant and really focus on the business of doing our business. So you see, I'm here. I have to go make this payment. And deep down in my heart, I know what it means. I know it means more people that are going to be unemployed, because the companies are going to have to cut and to let go of people so they can stay within budget despite these increases. And regular everyday people are probably going to have to pay more for everything, because companies are going to try to, make up for some of this increase from their sales prices. In my case, I'm going to do whatever I can, because like I said, I'm haunted by these people. I have fought. We started in 2017, and I have fought almost every year. I think about it a couple times to call it quits and go somewhere where the business environment is better for me to do my business. And each time I stay, because I'm haunted by these dead bodies at the bottom of the ocean. I think I don't know what I think. I know that I'm very angry. I don't think it's even anger at this point. I think it is I think it's profound distress. Because how come people not see and not connect the dots? How come? How come? How can you say the same month everybody in the country, government officials included, complaining, mourning about these dead people? Everybody being like, what's going on? Why is this phenomenon? Why does it seem to even be, accelerating? And at the same time, these same government officials in collaboration with the unions are saying we're going to increase base wages. Do we not understand this very simple correlation between things? I don't know. So for us, I think I'm getting at the point where it's becoming serious now, but I have to look for an alternative country. And maybe one day Senegal will understand. And as a matter of fact, the reason I'm speaking up now more and more is because I really think that maybe not enough people understand these relationships because very few people talk about them. Think about it. When you're in a country where 90% of people are in the informal sector, they don't know these rules. They don't have to run by them. So they don't know. So an overwhelming majority of people in business don't know what the heck is going on when it comes to all of these rules. And then the few others that are legit, you're talking about many of them are more or less, who knows? They have friends here in high places or there. And we can round things up when needed. And a few of us see this. And when we speak up about it, the rest of the world seems to be like, what are we talking about? Because with so many people without work, don't even understand what the hell is going on in the world of workers. It is what it is. But for me, it's not lost on me. More boats are going to leave. Unless Senegal becomes very serious about the labor laws and other doing business indicators. We are terribly ranked. And this is always the place where I try to make politicians understand that for me, they need to stop looking at these issues as if somebody criticized them. I don't care about the politicians. I don't care about the men and women who are in politics. What I care about are the policies. Because the policies are everything. Policies is part of a governance. Like how sometimes Africans complain about, yeah, we have bad governance and everything. But most of the time when they talk about bad governance, what is it that they're talking about for the most part? Bad governance, we have bad governance. See, there's governance, the people who are governing us, and then there's governance. CE at the end, and then the other one is TS. So oftentimes when they complain about lack of good governance, they only think about the governance part, meaning like the people who are supposedly governing us. They're this, they're that, blah, blah, blah. And if only they were better people, everything would be better. We should never have to rely on having a good leader to make it. We should always make it such that the governance is so strong, but it doesn't matter if we have a good leader or a bad leader. The minute we understand that, we will then start looking into the right direction. So that's why so many of my fellow Africans are mad at me because they want me to keep on pounding on the fact, if you ask them, they say, well, we're poor because our countries are not going anywhere and it's because of our bad leaders or bad governance. When they speak governance, CE, they're thinking about governance, TS. And similarly, when politicians hear policies being criticized, they're thinking it's them, politicians, being criticized. All I care about are the policies. All I care about is the governance, CE. That's where it's all at. And so many of these policies we have inherited from the colonial times. This is going to be a conversation for another day. But there are some rules and regulations that I'm subjected to that make absolutely no freaking sense. And then, of course, when I ask for the law to be put in front of me, I look at it, and that thing is dated from pre-independence times. So I think it's about time that all of our politicians, from anywhere that they're from, put egos aside and start to be like, wait a second. We need to take all of our rules and regulations, all the books, everything. We need to take them out and open them and start looking and start crossing. Anything that makes no sense, we cross. Everything that stands in the way of doing business, we cross, or we reform, or we just shred it. Rwanda did that for their business environment. You can say whatever else you want about the rules of Rwanda today, but if I only judge that part, it is doing the right thing. They have rewritten everything and gotten rid of all the nonsense from colonial times and beyond. And they caught up with their time when it comes to doing business because they want to attract the best businesses in the world to where they are, call back their diaspora and all of that, to come home, build businesses home, and create jobs home, and try to get the country to a whole nother level, economically speaking. Yet, no one pays attention to that. Everybody's paying attention to which leader should go on board or not which leader, as if all that matters is the leader. No, all that matters is not the politician that we're going to put in place. All that matters is the policies that we're going to be promoting. I see no one paying attention to policies. No one. Yet you're telling me you want real change? Good luck with that.